Are you trying to find the best, like the perfect docking situation for your iPad? Me too. I guess everybody's kind of looking for that. So what could it be? Hold on, it's kind of big. Ooh! The Kensington Studio Dock. So is it any good? Let's find out. Ugh! Alright, hey, we gotta move this for a second. What's up, everyone? I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So I'm very excited for this. Obviously, I love iPads, and I love all sorts of iPad accessories. I've made lots of videos about them in the past. Well, I saw a couple of weeks ago that a bunch of people had made videos about this, so I bought one of these myself. Nobody sent this to me, I bought this myself, so let's find out if this is any good as the ultimate iPad dock. But I was not expecting this to be this big. Like, this is a gigantic package. When the box showed up, and the box was pretty big. I was like, did they send me two on accident? Because this is a big boy. All right, let's open this sucker up and see, if all of this is worth it, because this is not small, and it's not cheap either. So when we get this out of here, we'll talk about price, where this thing costs just about as much as the iPad itself. This specific one is compatible with the iPad Pro 11 from 2018 and on, and it's compatible with the iPad Air 4, which, whoops. Okay, initial impressions, I did not like that box. Don't do that. That was one of the most irritating boxes that I've ever come across. So what this promises to be is like an all-in-one mount for your iPad, but also becomes like a hub. So it's kind of like trying to turn your iPad into like an iMac. It has all sorts of ports, all sorts of capabilities built into it. It has wireless docks. Oof. That's so big. So big. Oh, I'm exhausted now. I don't normally get a workout in when we're making these videos. Okay, now we've got a little more manageable of a space. So let's actually see what this is supposed to do. So you can see from the box, it has an upstream iPad Pro port. So it's got USB-C. The back has HDMI, 3 USB-A, 1 gigabit Ethernet. That's good. The side has a USB-A, 3.5 millimeter audio, SD card reader power button. Compatible, we already talked about the compatibility. Works with a single monitor up to 4K 60 frames per second. What I'm curious about though is, you see that? iPads normally, when you plug them in, has a 4:3 aspect ratio crop, like it'll take off the sides. That doesn't look like a crop, so does this do something that when you plug it into a monitor, it doesn't have that? Because that's a pretty bold marketing thing to put on your box. All right, let's get this thing. Now, like I said, this thing is very expensive. This cost me $379, which is most of the price of my iPad Air. Like, this thing is pretty darn pricey. You could buy a whole iPad setup for that amount, but it is built really well. Wow. It's solid. I like the construction of this body. Can you hear that? The back is plastic, but the base is made of metal. It feels really good. Here's the, okay, it'll do landscape and portrait for the iPad. This is why it's only compatible with the 11-inch versions and not the 12.9-inch versions. You can see it's got like a lip around here. Here's how far it'll go. So if we have the iPad right in front of us, it'll go back kind of far, but it won't articulate all the way around. USB-C. Here's the wireless charging mat right here. Looks like some status lights. Nothing on the bottom. Here's the SD card on the side. It's a full SD card, which is nice. We've got the USB-A, the Ethernet, the HDMI, the power. Looks like a little lock here in the back. Here's another USB-C for charging, it looks like. The power button. This thing feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. Does it feel $300 good? We'll see. Okay, what do we get in the additional box? Looks like we have some instructions. A lot of power cables. Okay, here's the power brick that plugs into the adapter. Okay, here's the one that I'll use. So it has a lot of international cables, which I like, but why not do something like other companies do and have everything built the same, but just have the head be different? This seems like a lot of that money. I mean, this is expensive, and I feel like some of that money is probably going towards having 5 different additional cables. So if I were making this, I would have this to all be standard and then just have a removable head. Like, you just take off the prongs, put this on for whichever area you happen to be in. It seems a little excessive. All right, so now let's put in the iPad. I guess we just set it right down here into the little adapter thing. There's a little bit of play. Can you? It's not a lot, but there's a little bit of play in here. And obviously, if you have the keyboard case or the Magic Keyboard, this is not gonna work. But it seems to be in there pretty well. I don't have any issues. It doesn't look like it's gonna fall out. They keep the Touch ID open. You got the camera open on the back. I mean, that's nice, but if I'm using the camera, maybe they just didn't want to develop something that would go against the bump, but I'm not gonna be using this camera if it's in this dock. All right. I mean, that's pretty nice. As you can see, it gets the iPad like right in front of your face. It might be a little too much in front of my face. Normally when I put things in a stand or a dock, I like getting it up and away from me so it's not so much in my face. And this is kind of doing the opposite where it is like right up in your face. So we'll have to see. I mean, it is a touchscreen. Part of the charm of this would be using that touchscreen. There's a lot of weird design decisions with this. Ooh, here's another USB-A right here on the side. And Apple Watch. Oh, is this, can I charge my Apple Watch here too? Nice. I don't have my Apple Watch, it's upstairs charging. Okay, let's plug it in and see how all of the ports and if the wireless charging works well enough with my iPhone, because I do have my iPhone with me here today. Okay, it's all plugged in, and we brought some peripherals to see how it will integrate with them. So it's charging, you can see it's charging, I like that. Will it charge my phone? Okay, it's also wired, well, you can't see it, but where it is, okay, there it is. Now it is, you just gotta make sure that the 12 Pro Max is too big for this little stand. You gotta make sure that you're, all right, so if you put the 12 Pro Max, you can't see it from right here. Maybe if I do it upside down, it'll work too. Okay, so if you perfectly put the 12 Pro Max flush in here, it'll work. This spot looks like it's for my AirPods Pro, which I would assume still works. So let's see how all of the accessories do. So let's check out the SD card reader first. Oh, that sounds kind of cheap. Do you hear that? That might be the cheapest sounding SD card reader I've ever heard. All right, we do see the SD card. And can we pull up? All right, and all of the pictures are on there. Very nice. This is from my Canon EOS R6. You can see all of the thumbnail kind of pictures I took. And yeah, okay. SD card slot works pretty well, but dang, that sounds so cheap. Oh my goodness. It's like the way they have this set up, and I'm sure it's not, obviously the stand is not cheap, and it does feel like it has good build quality, but it's almost like when you're plugging in an SD card, it's touching some of the plastic back here. Wow, it's not cheap, but it sounds cheap, I'll tell you that much. Okay, so let's also see how this would work with like my solid state drive, if I wanted to plug this in to also check my files. Yep, there we go. You can see all the files. Here's the things that are on here. Will it read through there? Here's an unboxing of the MacBook Pro. You can tell how long it's been since I've used this solid state drive. Because there is a lot of times when I'm... Okay, so it works well with the USB-C port. Works well with that. Let's see how it works with my bigger drive. This is my backup, one of my backup drives. But that's a spinning drive. It is not a solid state drive. So how does it work? Okay, it's working too. All right, so it works with all of my, all of the accessories that I could imagine it working with. But we did see, the one thing that I'm really curious about is how does it work with a monitor? Because on that box, it showed a full display. It did not show a crop, so hold on. Let's go get a monitor too. Okay, we now have officially too much stuff on this desk, but here's a monitor. All right, you guys can all see it still? Yep. Okay, here's HDMI cable. You're gonna watch this in real time with me. I have no idea what's gonna happen here. Let's plug it in. And surprise, surprise, it's still the 4x3 crop. Hold on. I'll give Kensington the benefit of the doubt. Let's look, maybe there's something in the instruction manual so that maybe Gary's wrong. Look, I'm not infallible. I'm a regular person that just happens to like all of these accessories and gadgets. Oh, the Apple Watch charger is sold separately, by the way. Man, it's already like $400 and you got to buy the Apple Watch charger separately. Okay, I'm looking. I don't see anything about... Here's the HDMI, but it doesn't say anything about how you could fix this. So, I mean, I get when you're selling this stuff and you're saying that it's going to plug into an external monitor that, you want a pretty picture. It's the same thing you would do for a thumbnail, but I don't like that they put that on the box. Because look, that's still welcome to external monitor support with the iPad. Okay, so we checked that out. Let's put this monitor down so we can do some final thoughts. Now, obviously, I've only just taken this out of the box. I haven't had a chance yet to use this in my workflow. I actually do have some ways that I think this could work for me. Probably wouldn't work as like a main computer replacement, but there are some times where I like having, I don't know, a chat box, or I want a video thing up next to me, or I want to be able to work or draw or tap a screen when it's up a little bit closer to my face. So we'll have to use this, and because of the price of this, maybe we'll even make a follow-up video on this just to see how it's holding up. Initial impressions are the build quality is great. I love that it's got the wireless charging on here, because on my desk I don't have any wireless chargers, so this would be a way for me to wirelessly charge my phone and my AirPods while I'm there. I don't like that you have to buy the Apple Watch charger separately. This thing's already $400. I like all of the external ports. USB-C, you can't do much with that by itself. I like that it has a dedicated power supply. I like all of the port options. This really does take the iPad and give it a lot more versatility. I do not like that they advertise on the box it's going to give you a full display picture out of HDMI. Obviously, it's not. We just saw that it's not. It still has the 4:3 aspect ratio crop that you would get if you just bought a $10 USB-C dongle for the iPad. Initially, would I recommend this? You'd have to have a very specific niche need for me to recommend this to you. If you're like me and you're trying to consolidate some things on your desk, maybe, but it's so expensive. Like the iPad Air does not, like this costs almost as much as the iPad Air by itself does. And you could easily put together an iPad Air stand kit dongle combo for like $50. So it's kind of hard to recommend this to a general audience. If you're somebody like me or you have some specific needs, yes, I might recommend it. It is cool. It's a neat gadget, and I'm all about neat gadgets here. We just gotta figure out, let's use it for a little bit, and then I'll come back to you all with some actual experience. And if you like this video, you're curious about the iPad Air, because I love the iPad Air, and I do think that right now, before we've seen the new iPad Pros, I think this is really the only iPad that's worth buying. For all practical purposes, it gives you all of the same capabilities as the iPad Pro, minus Face ID. But if you'd like to see a video following up on that, here's my latest follow-up video where I talk all about how awesome this is and why you should probably go buy one. You can find that by clicking right here. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.